Welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I am your host, Dr. Melissa Mahon. Join me for conversations about possibilities and tools for having more joy, more play, and way more of you. What would it be like to wake up every day with a wild enthusiasm for living? Hello and welcome to the Wild Enthusiasm for Living podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Mahon, and I am so grateful to have you here today as we finish up our manifesting series. So if you have anybody in your life that's been playing with manifesting, working on manifesting, and this would contribute to them, please share it. So settle in for a conversation around what it takes to become the version of yourself that matches the frequency of the thing that you're asking for when you're manifesting anything. So the last few episodes we've done have been on sort of laying the groundwork. How do you begin to manifest the life of your dreams? And we talked about regulating your nervous system. We talked about raising your frequency. We talked about tackling negative beliefs and letting go of the belief systems that are no longer serving you, and how to change your beliefs so that your beliefs are congruent with what it is that you're asking for. So today I want to talk about how you become that version of yourself. And when we talk about manifesting, and often a misconception, even one that I had for a long time, was that you're trying to bring something into you, where you are the stable object and you're trying to bring something to you. And what I've realized, the deeper I've dove into this discussion and research I've done, and my own just playing in the energy of manifesting a life that you love, is realizing it's not quite that. It's not that you're trying to bring something to you. You're actually going to it. So there is already a timeline in which the thing that you're asking for exists. You are already that person somewhere. So somewhere in some dimension, in some reality, you already are that. So the key is actually bringing yourself to that level, to that timeline, to that reality where that already exists. And that's where we've been talking about the previous few episodes, is needing to regulate your nervous system first, because you can't create anything from a dysregulated nervous system. You actually need to be grounded and calm and at peace with you. And we need to raise our frequency. And we talked about that, of raising our frequency so that we are an energetic match for what you're asking for. And then all the belief systems, all the things that get in our way, those things all get cleared out. So now what I want to look at is, how do you start to actually manifest? How do you start to create this? And I actually have a full Manifesting 101 course that is coming out on my website on drmelissamahon.com that you'll be able to purchase relatively soon. We're working on getting that completely finished. So that will sort of put all of this together and then some. There'll be lots of writing activities, meditations, some EFT tapping, different things within that course to really manifest everything they are asking for. But today, I really wanted to focus on sort of like the final step, at least in as much as I can share in a podcast, which is really starting to visualize and take yourself there in your mind to what you're asking for, because our mind does not know the difference between visualizing something occurring and something actually occurring. So when you visualize something happening, your mind thinks it's real, and it starts vibrating at that frequency, and it starts functioning as though that is the truth of the life that you're living. So one of the things I've really played with when it comes to visualizing is writing it down. So You can visualize without writing it down. It's not required. You can absolutely close your eyes. I like to count myself down like I'm doing hypnosis. And you don't have to go into like a big, deep trance, although that can be helpful. But even if you count yourself down from 5 to 1 and then allow yourself to visualize, you're giving yourself an extra little bit of relaxation to really regulate your nervous system, to really sink in to that space of visualizing. So if you're going to write things down, the way I like to do this is to write a letter to myself, congratulating myself for the accomplishment that I've already accomplished. So if you have this idea that there's this thing that you really want to do, or you want to get this job, you want to get a promotion, you're hoping for an opportunity, you're hoping for love, you're hoping for whatever that is. So write yourself a letter saying, congratulations, Melissa. I am so proud of you. I cannot believe that we have created this magic in our lives and this is what is occurring. And say it as though it has already occurred. You know, you just got this promotion. Congratulations. You've worked so hard for this, and feel it in your body, what that feels like as though it has already occurred. And maybe you're imagining the email that tells you that you got this promotion, or maybe a phone call, or maybe a Zoom call, or maybe whatever that meeting is. But write it down as though it's already occurred and describe what occurred in detail as though it's already happened. Once you get this all written out, then I want you to read it out loud to yourself and feel it. Feel it in your body, what that experience felt like, again, as though it's already happened, and what it feels like as though maybe you just got this news. What does that feel like in your body? And allow your body to light up in the same way that it would as if this had happened, and allow your mind to see it really vividly. So once you read it out loud to yourself, because you might need your eyes open to read, right? I want you to close your eyes. And when you close your eyes, I want you to imagine it as though it's happened. It's already happened. It's already happening. And I want you to look through your own eyes. These things are really important because a lot of times we visualize things occurring as though we're watching it on a movie screen, but we actually need to feel it as us, not as though it's happening to somebody else in some other space, but it needs to be so we're imagining it as us. What are you looking at? Are you looking at an email? Are you looking at a room full of people that you're speaking to? Are you looking into the eyes of the one you love? Whatever that is, imagine it through your own eyes, through your own space, and that makes it part of your real reality that is starting to embed in your body, in your mind, and in your energy field. So once you have that, be with it and just allow yourself to sit with it as long as you're able. So maybe it's 2 minutes, maybe it's 5 minutes, maybe it's 10 minutes, but really imagine it as though it's occurred. And once you get through that, allow yourself to just sink in, to breathe, to lock it in, and to say, and so it is. So you're really allowing the universe to know this is what your ask is. This is how you're showing up in the world. This is what it feels like in your body. And this is what you are creating in the universe as a reality that exists. And now you are bringing yourself to that reality. So the last part of this is, now what do you do with it? Because this is maybe a few minutes of your day. Ideally, do this every day. If you miss a day or whatever, the world isn't going to end. But make this part of your daily practice. Maybe it's part of your daily meditation practice, where you make this part of your world to daily check in, to daily. And once you've written the letter, you don't have to write it again. You can read it again. But the value in writing is that when you write something out, you have to focus on what you're writing, and you can't focus on anything else. It's like if you've ever tried to send a text message while having a conversation and you start texting what's in your conversation with, the person sitting in front of you, because we can't really do those two things at the same time, not very well. So when you write something down, you make it your focus and it becomes even more zoomed in. So once it's written, then when you're reading, it's kind of the same thing. You can't really read and have a conversation with somebody else at the same time either. So when you're reading that letter back to yourself, you are locking that in even more as you're focused on it. And then it makes it easier to visualize from that space. So then start to look at how you live your life. Start to look at how you go through every day. If you had this thing that you're asking for, how would you show up differently in the world? Would you dress differently? Would you carry yourself differently? Would you have more self confidence? Would you walk differently with your shoulders down and back, with your face out to the world? Would you hunch over or would you be shrink yourself? No, you wouldn't do those things. If you had everything that you're asking for, you would show up with confidence in all situations and start to look at how you currently show up in the world. Are you showing up in the way that matches the reality that you're asking for? Would you speak differently? Would you speak clearly and eloquently? Would you slow down because you'd no longer be hurried? You no longer have to hustle or prove yourself to anybody. Would you actually be more grounded in the way that you speak? Think about all of these things. And it may seem trivial how you dress, how you speak, how you walk. However, everything that you do is giving the universe a signal for who you are and who you are becoming and what you're asking for. So when you're asking to match the vibrational frequency of something, part of it is how you show up in the world. I know we've talked a lot about daily routines on other podcasts on, how do you wake up in the morning? What do you attune your energy to first thing in the morning? How do you take care of your body? Would any of those things be different if you already had what you're asking for? Would you prioritize fitness in a different way and like really moving your body? Would you prioritize eating cleaner if you had what you're asking for? Would you prioritize um, meditation? Would you prioritize really having a clear mind? What else would you make a priority in your life if you had the life that you're asking for? And how can you start to bring those things into the now so that the more you do that, the greater that energy and frequency starts to become a match for what you're asking for. So start to look at those things of like, okay, if this is what I'm asking for, and maybe make a list, maybe write them down. How would I be different? How would my life be different? I know we talked a little bit about writing a letter as though the thing had just occurred, a congratulatory letter. The other thing that you can do if you like letter writing and things like that is write a letter from yourself a year from now, back to you today, to be like, oh my goodness, guess what has occurred in the last year? So date it today's date, but for, right now it's 2025 as I record this. So today's date in 2026 and look back on like, wow, these are all the things that have occurred over the last year. And write a letter to yourself today telling you this is everything that you created. Look what we did. We created this and we created this, and we have this thing that we asked for, and this is how we did it. And this is how we feel now. And allow that to become true for you as you write that out. Be like, wow, okay, so if I got everything I wanted a year from now, what would I be celebrating? What would I be telling myself who might be sitting here today going, I don't know if this is really going to work out. Is this silly? Am I spending too much energy on this? Or am I, whatever. All the places doubt comes in, all the places our ego comes in and tells us that it's too hard, that we can't do it. We should just give up and go back to our normal life where everything is predictable and easy. Or what would actually happen if you stepped into everything that you'd like to have and started to truly create your life and let yourself know a year from now, what did you do to keep going? What was the thing that motivated you? What was the thing that kept you from quitting? And what were the steps that you took? Who did you talk to? Who did you reach out to? Who did you email? Who did you have lunch with? What other steps were required? What courses did you take? What workshops did you attend? What were the things that really made the difference of taking you from where you sit today to where you will be a year from now? And just allow yourself to free write. So there's a lot of talk on when it comes to writing things about writing with a pen and paper. And it's funny because for me, and do what works for you, a pen and paper um for me, the pen and paper has a aesthetic something, right? I like the feeling of the pen to paper. And if I have nothing but time, that's really good for me because then I will slow down and write it out. And I like the way the pen feels to the paper. And that's awesome. The thing I like about typing is I can type a lot faster than I can write. So sometimes I like to be able, I can also type with my eyes closed. Side note. So if you're somebody who knows how to type, the keyboard, all the things, sometimes I find that it is also helpful to free type in something like this, where you're really talking to your higher self. You're asking your spirit, what did I do? How did we get here? What do I need to know today that I haven't previously thought of? For those things, I do like to type it out because it comes faster and I can write it out faster. So do what works for you. I just wanted to throw that in there because I know most people will say write out with a pen and paper, and there is a place for that. Absolutely. But don't make yourself wrong if you're like, can I type it? I'd really rather type it because sometimes I get the best downloads and messages when I'm actually typing. So whatever works for you, but play with this. Play with the letter writing to yourself from the future and see if that creates something different. And at the end of it all, if you need clarity, so before you do anything, as we're talking about writing different things today and visualizing, sometimes when we know exactly what we want, it's really easy to start on this. But sometimes we need clarity. And I love list making personally. Not everybody likes list making, but I really like to make a list of all the things I'm asking the universe for. What is it that I'd really like to have? If I could have absolutely anything as my life, what are those things? And I will free write a list as long as I can go of like, okay, if I woke up tomorrow and my life was like, holy crap, I cannot believe this is my life that I have created. How did I get here? This is amazing. What are those things? What are those things that you're actually asking the universe for? And when you go to manifest, like as we've been talking about in this series, a lot of those things all kind of go together, right? This is the life that you're manifesting, that you're asking for. And it might be one really specific thing. You're really looking for a promotion. You're really asking to, find a loving, caring partner. You're really asking for an opportunity to speak on a stage to millions of people, whatever your thing is. So whatever that is, that can be a really focused, specific thing. So this is not like an all or nothing thing. You start to play with what is it that you would really like to have as your life, have your asks, and then pick one or two things that maybe go together as you get used to doing this. As you do it all the time, you can start to combine them more. You can start to play with a bigger picture. All of that's included. This is your practice. So I can tell you different things that I've done, different things that I've focused on, but also like you really look at what it is that works for you. I think for a lot of people, trying to do like a whole life thing all at once can feel overwhelming, certainly if you're just starting to learn to manifest. So you might be better starting with one or two smaller things, and then you sort of work your way up. There isn't a right or wrong way to do this. So just start to play with it. And if you haven't listened to the previous 3 episodes, you might want to go back and listen to those because they will lay the groundwork to get you to where this is, everything that we've talked about today. And you don't have to do what works for you. But I do find that when you focus on the nervous system stuff, on the raising your frequency, on tackling your negative beliefs, letting them go, That's a lot easier than when you get to this point of really visualizing, writing out, and focusing on becoming the version of yourself that is all the things that you are asking for. So, I hope this was valuable and helpful to you. Keep an eye out on my website, drmelissamann.com, for Manifesting 101. It should be up any day now. And I am so grateful for you being here with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review. I would be so grateful. And it helps other people to find the podcast, as I want to contribute to as many people's lives as I can. So I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see you sometime soon. Bye.